Gentlemen, please remove your caps for the national anthem.
One microphone? Yep. Classic, there's only one microphone.
No kidding.
Squinch in.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Gentlemen, you may put your caps back on and class be seated. Good evening. We're going to digress immediately from the program for just 1 minute. We have a young lady graduating tonight who has been chosen as the first flutist for the Youth Philharmonic Orchestra from the New England Conservatory of Music, whose concert also happens to be at 8 o'clock this evening, and it's in Boston. This honor is extraordinary, and I wanted her to be able to partake of the concert without missing her chance to receive her diploma. So please join me in recognizing Ellen Rondina from Hawthorne House as she graduates now and leaves for her concert. Ellen should be right on top. Congratulations. Terrific.
Ellen Christine Rondina. Ellen Christine Rondina.
I would now like to introduce to you Jen Rogan, who will introduce our salutatorian, Louise Chen. Jen, would you please come to the stage?
Good afternoon. It is a privilege and an honor to introduce the following speaker. For the past 9 years, I have been proud to call Louise Chen my best friend. Throughout these years, I've never known Louise to accept anything but the best. Whether it is in her academics or in her social life, She has set high standards for herself and has lived up to them. She has taken her education very seriously by challenging herself in the most advanced classes that the school has to offer and spending her summers studying at Harvard University. All this is not merely to make the grade, rather to achieve complete comprehension of the subject at hand. Because of her hard work, she will attend Brown University this fall. She will study biology and pursue a career in medicine. Louise is not only a dedicated student, she is also committed to helping her community. She's exhibited her keen leadership skills and her loving nature in service activities such as Search, Outreach, Student Council, and the Thomas Jefferson Forum. Through these activities, Louise has been able to touch many lives. Above all, Louise is a loyal, caring, and trustworthy friend who I've had the pleasure of knowing. An amazing, talented, and truly inspirational person, I now introduce to you the salutatorian for the class of 1994 and my best friend, Louise Chen.
I would like to begin with a short anecdote this evening. When they are young, baby elephants are chained to stakes driven deep in the ground. Pull as they right, they remain firmly tethered. Soon the baby elephant becomes discouraged and stops pulling. It learns to stay put. Over time, the trainer uses lighter and lighter restraints. Eventually, a small rope attached to a stick, barely anchored in the earth, is sufficient to keep a fully grown elephant from moving. In a sense, we are all like elephants. As adults, we have the power that we didn't have as children to pursue our dreams, but discouragement keeps us from using it. How many times have we been told that we're not athletes, that we're not smart, that we can't do this, that we can't do that? But I believe that destiny is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. It's not a thing to be waited for. It's a thing to be achieved. We are who we choose to be. We all have many different emotions about leaving Chelmsford High School today, and some of us are uncertain of our futures. But it is important to remember that we will all be embarking upon a new chapter of our lives. And many of us will be going to some of the best colleges and universities in the nation. I challenge you to build upon what you have learned at Chelmsford High School, as well as explore new fields of interest, and not let past failures and discouragements keep you from achieving your goals. If you think about it, your worst critic is not your enemies or your friends. It is yourself. How many times do we constantly put ourselves down? Starting today, let's try and be positive. Being here tonight proves that you are all special people. If you've been proud of your accomplishments at Chelmsford High School, keep up the hard work and dedication. You have a long way to go. And if you haven't done as much as you would have liked, here's your chance. In closing, I would like to extend my most heartfelt thanks and appreciation on behalf of myself and the class of 1994 to our friends, teachers, and most of all our parents who have made it possible for us all to be here this evening. Thank you, and good luck to all of you.
Mr. Levine, would you please join me at the podium? Mr. Levine, on behalf of the class of 1994, it gives me great pleasure to present you with this check. The class wishes that this money be used to better Chelmsford High School. The class of 1994 is happy to donate this gift as a token of their appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Do I stay here for the gavel, too?
Sure. I would now like to invite Gregory Charles Mara, president of the class of 1995, to the podium, please. Greg, it is my pleasure, as president of the class of 1994, to present you with this gavel, the symbol of authority and responsibility. The class of 1994 wishes that you and the class of 1995 the best of everything in all your endeavors. We sincerely hope that you and your class will follow and uphold the fine traditions that have been established over the years here at Chelmsford High School. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mike, graduates of class of 1994. On behalf of the class of 1995, it is with great honor and pleasure to accept this gavel. I hope that we as a class will be as successful in our accomplishments as you, the class of 1994, were in yours. Speaking for the entire class, I congratulate you on the successful journey thus far and wish you the best of luck and happiness in the future. You will be sadly missed. The class of 1995 respects the fine example you have set for us and will follow it with pride. May you always find peace and comfort in remembering the good times and good friends you have had here at Chelmsford High. I would also like to thank the class advisors of the senior class, Ms. Joan Monahan and Mr. Edward Rubin, and Mike Kasparian, senior class president, for their valuable advice and help that they have given us throughout the year. Good luck to you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Michael, you were an outstanding president, and I think you deserve a round of applause for the job that you did this year. I'd like to introduce two people who won't be speaking this evening, who are sitting on the podium, who will be helping in the distribution of diplomas. Ms. Linda Smeltzer has been the PTO president this year and has done a wonderful job for us and the community. I would like to introduce her now, Ms. Smeltzer. School committee woman Wendy Marks will also be helping in the distribution of diplomas. Mrs. Marks. We have just been notified very recently that two of our students have been selected Academic All-Americans by the National Swimming Hall of Fame. Please join me in congratulating as I introduce them to you. Please stand Ed Kalpis and Jeff Troughton. It's too bad that the entire Chelmsford community could not have seen these kids in the way that they looked and acted during their senior week. Then everybody would know what we've all known at high school for a long time, that we have a fabulous bunch of kids in our school system and a tremendous senior class. Did we have a senior week or did we have a senior week? I'm here to tell you parents that in the 26 years that I've been in this business, I've been to over 35 or 40 proms. And this prom is the standard by which all other proms will be measured in the future. It is the absolute best prom I have ever been to. Last night's banquet was pretty good, too. Did I surprise you on the dance floor, or did I surprise you on the dance floor? His Excellency Governor Dukakis, School Committee Chair Olson, Superintendent Moser, invited guests, parents, faculty, graduates. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Chelmsford High School graduation ceremony of 1994. This evening, I'd like to remind all of us what a high school diploma from Chelmsford High School can mean to each of you, this year's graduates. Chelmsford has provided each generation with many success stories, and I've invited a few of those success stories to join us tonight. But first, I'd like to introduce to you a cross-section of students so that we as a community can understand what it is that we graduate every year. Majoring in journalism, and I will ask the students' names that I read to please stand and remain standing. Majoring in journalism, Jennifer Liss, Northeastern University. Paul Butler, Suffolk or Franklin Pierce College. And Charlotte Capagna, UMass Amherst. I would like to introduce you to somebody. A graduate of the class of 1979, this distinguished guest majored in journalism at Boston University and is now the lead reporter for the Boston Bruins coverage in the Boston Herald. Karen Garigian certainly serves as a role model for any prospective CHS graduate who will pursue journalism as a career, and is a fine example of the worth of your high school diploma. Please join me in receiving tonight a distinguished graduate from Chelmsford High School, Ms. Karen Garigian. The following students that I will read, and I will ask you to stand and remain standing, will be majoring in business or marketing. Paul Barton, Norwich University. Jason Bissett, Bentley College. Michael Cook, New England College. Michelle Galpin, University of Connecticut. Christina Egan, Purdue University. Dan Miranda, UMass Lowell. Kirk Gray, Babson College. Jody Hinckley, Merrimack College. Michelle Anderson, Providence College. And Aaron Bates, UMass Amherst. Please stand and remain standing. I would like to introduce you to someone. A graduate of the class of 1952. He is a very successful businessman. Mr. Mello owns and operates Allen Mello Dodge in Nashua, New Hampshire, and Contemporary Chrysler Plymouth in Milford, New Hampshire. Mr. Mello has found his success without the benefit of a formal college education and serves as a role model for any prospective business marketing student, as well as a fine example of the worth of a Chelmsford High School education. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Allen Mello. The following students, I am very proud to say, will either major or minor in education. Please stand and remain standing. Dwan Scott, Biology Education, Howard University. Brent Conway, Elementary Education, University of Rhode Island. Katie Ahern, Special Education, Simmons College. Jessica Cavallero, Early Childhood Education, Riviere. Amanda Chelna, Elementary Education, Notre Dame College of Manchester. Jason Fredette, Early Childhood Education, Stonehill. Danielle Bartholomew, Physical Education, Skidmore. Katie McSheehy, UMass Amherst, Early Childhood Education. Kerry Shoup, Grove City College, Mathematics Education. I would like to introduce you to somebody. This fellow is a graduate of CHS class of 1935. Dr. Everett Olson guided the merger of Lowell Technical College and Lowell State College into what we now know as Lowell University, and became its first president. Dr. Olson is a wonderful role model and a fine example of what a CHS diploma can mean to you. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Everett E. Olson. The following students will major in public safety, criminal justice, park management, wildlife and fisheries, or fire administration. Donata Jerome, Salem State College. Gary Hannigan, UMass Amherst. Andrew Booth, University of New Haven. Sherry Boymeister, St. Anselm's College. Kirk Bishop, University of Massachusetts Lowell. Douglas Gray, Northeastern University. John Guarneri, Unity College. Mike Marchand, University of Massachusetts. Michael Maloney, University of Massachusetts. Please stand and remain standing. I would like to introduce you to someone. This gentleman is a graduate of the CHS class of 1964. He is the Deputy Fire Chief for the town of Chelmsford and Deputy Officer for the Hazardous Material Incident Team in our town. Mr. James Souza has a degree in Business Management from the University of Lowell and is a wonderful role model and fine example of what a CHS diploma can mean to you. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jimmy Souza. The following students will major in government and politics or international relations. Joseph Balin, Government and Politics, University of Vermont. Thomas Keegan, Government and Politics, Providence College. Adam Needles, International Relations and Economics at Duke University. Joanna Wheeler, Government and Politics at Georgetown University. Please stand and remain standing. I would like to introduce you to someone. A 1956 graduate of Chelmsford High School, Mary St. Hilaire is the Chelmsford Town Clerk. She has been actively involved in the political scene in Chelmsford for many years and must be considered a pioneer in an arena previously dominated by men. Mary St. Hilaire is a wonderful role model and a fine example for what a CHS diploma can mean to you. Please join me in welcoming Mary St. Hilaire. Following students will major in a medical-related field. Susan Kramer, Nursing, Villanova. Please stand and remain standing. Beth Arsenault, Nursing, Villanova. Anix Baez, Pre-Med, UMass Amherst. Angela Baines, Pre-Med, Tufts University. Lindy Chula, Pre-Med, University of Mass Amherst. Petra Doyle, Pre-Veterinary, University of Massachusetts Amherst. Rebecca Harris, Nursing, University of Rhode Island or the University of Vermont. Ed Kalpis, Pre-Med, Dartmouth College. Mike Kasparian, Pre-Med, University of Mass Amherst. Elizabeth Holloman, Physical Therapy, Northeastern University. Stacy Keene, Physical Therapy, University of Vermont. Kobe Kozlowski, Pre-Med, University of Mass Amherst. Konstantina Karen Stasis. All right. The college name is even more difficult. Semmelweis University in Hungary. And Matt Higgins, Pre-Med, St. Michael's College. Please stand and remain standing. I would like to introduce you to somebody. A graduate of the class of 1975, Dr. James Becht holds a bachelor's degree from Holy Cross and a medical degree from Tufts University and specializes in radiology and oncology. Dr. Becht is a wonderful role model of what a Chelmsford High School diploma can mean to you. Please join me in recognizing and welcoming Dr. James Becht. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, Chelmsford High School has contributed widely and greatly to our slice of life in this world, and it is equally evident that with the wonderfully talented cross-section of students that we have just met, our future is indeed bright. Good luck to all of you, the class of 1994, and congratulations. You have been a wonderful group, and please remember, I say this to all of you, especially from last night, and especially to the group of young people that I had a conversation with during the evening. This is not an ending, it is a beginning. It is not a death, it is a rebirth. This is not about the past, it is about the future. Good luck, Godspeed. It's me again. The common thread through all success stories is the action of leaders at all levels and all walks of life. Outstanding leaders create the new tomorrows and then empower people to achieve those tomorrows. It is my privilege to introduce to you an outstanding leader, the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Richard Moser.
I always love Mr. Levine's introductions. Thank you very much. Before introducing our guest speaker this evening, I'd like to take a few minutes and offer my own goodbye to the class of 1994. I've known this class not only as superintendent of the schools over the last 4 years, but as a parent of one of the graduates. As superintendent, I want you to know that your class will be remembered for your many achievements academically, on the athletic fields, on the McCarthy stage, and in the hallways and classrooms of Chelmsford High School. I want you to know you will be missed. And for all your teachers, kindergarten through 12th grade, the Chelmsford School Committee, and our administration, we congratulate you and invite you back often to share with us your continued success and achievement. As a parent, I've gotten to know a number of members of this class. To Mike, Joe, Matt, Steve, Billy, Jackie, Wade, and Chris, I want you to know that I think you're all great kids. I will miss your presence in my home. I will miss the late-night phone calls, perhaps. I will continue to worry about you on weekends, but mostly I will miss your natural, lively laughter that has brightened my life and the lives of my family. In this day and age, when the negative acts of our youth get some attention, too much attention perhaps from the press and the media, it's a pleasure to know firsthand that our school is filled with many Mikes, Matts, Joes, Jackies, and Chris's, as well as Jens, Kellys, Karens, Allisons, Melissas, and Carols, who are just plain good kids. While your futures are uncertain at this point in time, you need to know that all of the adults in your lives have all the confidence in the world that you will grow into wonderful human beings. We are proud of you and we wish you well. It is also my pleasure tonight to introduce our guest speaker, Governor Michael Dukakis. Governor Dukakis is known by all of us as someone who has made a lifelong career and positive contribution to public service in the state of Massachusetts and beyond. He was born in Brookline, Massachusetts, graduated from Swarthmore College and Harvard Law School. He has a distinguished career with 4 terms in the Massachusetts legislature, as governor from 1974 through 1978, and again through the 1980s. He was honored to be the presidential candidate for the Democratic Party in 1988, and since that time has joined the teaching ranks as a visiting professor of political science at the University of Hawaii, Northeastern University, and the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. His current interests include national health care policy reform, including a recent publication, Ensuring American Health for the Year 2000. I am certain his presence today represents a sincere interest in the welfare of our youth. Governor Dukakis and his wife Kitty have 3 children of their own, John, Andrea, and Cara, and are proud grandparents of Alexandra Jane Dukakis. We look forward to his comments, and I present to you His Excellency, Governor Michael S. Dukakis.
Thank you, Dick, very much, and thank you all. First, I want to begin by assuring the graduates that this is going to be short. I mean, real short. This is your night, not mine. And I'm reminded of a graduation a few years ago at Brookline High School, where John Silver, who all of you know is president of Boston University and was a candidate for governor in the last gubernatorial election, spoke for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I've never forgotten it, and I will never, ever repeat it. It's also a real pleasure to be here in a personal sense because my cousin Strat Dukakis and his wife Eva live in Chelmsford. They have 4 daughters. All of those 4 daughters graduated from Chelmsford High School. One of them had a shower today because she's going to be married to a fine young dentist in a few weeks. And my 90-year-old mother came out to Chelmsford for that shower. And somewhere in this audience, Euterpe Dukakis is sitting, and she will be celebrating this coming weekend her 69th reunion of the class of 1925 at Bates College. I'm very proud of her. I don't know where she is, but it's just a pleasure to have her here. And before I came over here, I asked my 4 cousins, all graduates of Chelmsford, how come they had never invited me to speak to one of these graduations? They didn't have an answer. So, Mike, I'm delighted that you asked me. Maybe it takes an Armenian to ask a Greek. I don't know. But in any event, it's great to be here. Let me also say to all of you that it's nice to be recognized. You know, one of the things that happens to you when you run for the presidency and you're governor for 12 years is you lose your anonymity forever. But the longer you're out of office, the more people wonder a little bit when they walk by you or see you. You know, I go through airports and people kind of look and say, hey, I think I know that. Who is that guy anyway? And it also sometimes happens even close to home. These days, I teach at Northeastern University. And by the way, for those of you who are coming to Northeastern, let me congratulate you and tell you that if I could be helpful in any way, I hope you'll drop into my office at 303 Meserve Hall and let me know what I can do to help and to ease the transition. But these days, I walk to work. I walk from our house in Brookline on Perry Street over to Northeastern. It's about 2 miles and a brisk 30-minute walk. And just a few weeks ago, I was walking through the fens behind the Museum of Fine Arts on my way to Northeastern. There was a young man coming at me, and I greeted him very cheerfully. And I said, hi, how are you doing? And he looked at me, and he kind of slowed down, and he said, Mayor Flynn. And I said, no, he's in Rome. 2.5 months ago, I was teaching in Florida at Florida Atlantic University at Boca Raton. Not a bad winter to be teaching in Florida, as all of you know. And I was at the public supermarket standing in the checkout line, and there was a young woman behind me, and she kept looking at me, and finally she kind of mustered up some courage, and she came up to me, and she said, "I hate to bother you," she said, "but has anyone ever told you you look like Paul Tsongas?" Well, he was supposed to be here last year, and I'm kind of here for him. I'm going to be brief, but I'm going to pitch you a little bit. Maybe it's because I'm an optimist, and you have to be an optimist to be in politics. Maybe it's because Kitty and I have just come back from 2 terrific days where we spent some time doing seminars and meeting with the 85 1994 Truman Scholars out in Independence, Missouri, in Harry Truman's hometown. 85 of the best young people interested in public service I've ever met. But I think this is a terrific time to be graduating from high school, to be starting your college or adult careers, and to be thinking about what you're going to do. The Cold War is over. The thing that has defined the existence of my generation ever since we can remember is suddenly a thing of the past. And we're living through an extraordinary period in world history. If anybody had said to us, any of us, 5 years ago, that Nelson Mandela would be the elected president of South Africa today, that Rabin and Arafat would have shaken hands on an agreement in the Middle East, that the United Nations, however imperfectly, would be trying for the first time in the history of mankind to set standards for the conduct of nations and enforce them. If we had said that 5 years ago, you would have said to me, "Dukakis, you're out of your mind." And it's happened. And more is going to happen in the next year and 2 and 5 and on into the 21st century, and you're going to be a part of that. But good things aren't going to happen unless good people get involved. Now, I don't know how many of you I can persuade to think about running for elective office. I hope there are some of you who will do that. But I hope every single one of you, whatever your future, whatever your profession, whatever you decide to do, will be, as the ancient Greeks used to say, a public citizen. Because that's what makes our democracy work. Folks, this is the most open political system in the world. If it weren't, then people named Clinton and Tsongas and Dukakis and a lot of us never would have been heard from. I remember way back in 1970, I'd been a legislator for 8 years. I'd worked hard. I had hoped I had done a pretty good job for my constituents and for the Commonwealth. And I decided I wanted to run for statewide office. It was the first time I had ever run statewide. And I ran for lieutenant governor. Now, I don't have to tell you that in 1970, Dukakis was not exactly a household word. And we decided that we'd print up about 10,000 bumper stickers in 1969, put them on cars, and have people drive around the state. And all the bumper stickers said was Dukakis 70. We just wanted to get the name around. Some of you may recall that Paul Tsongas' name was so difficult to pronounce that he did this wonderful commercial about the name Tsongas. And I had a young aide named Stephen Kinzer, who today is the chief New York Times correspondent in Bonn, Germany, a young graduate of Brookline High School who was working for me, who was driving out in the western part of the state with one of these Dukakis 70 bumper stickers on. He drove into a gasoline station. The guy came out to pump his gas, and he looked at the sticker, and he looked at Kinzer, and he said, "Dukakis?" He said, "What's a Dukakis?" I mean, that's how well I was known in 1970. Kinzer never batted an eyelash. He said, "It's a rare bird, and there are only 70 of them left." But the fact of the matter is that I and Paul and the President of the United States and so many of us began from fairly humble roots. My parents were both immigrants, as are many of yours or your grandparents. And because this political system of ours is so open, we were able to achieve something, and I hope, in our own way, make a real contribution to the quality of life of our fellow citizens. But our democracy won't work unless good people get involved. And that means you. And in whatever capacity, whether in elective office or an appointive office or as a member of a major task force in the community you settle in or in the profession or business that you decide to get into, I hope you will be public citizens. And one of the things that you will have an opportunity to do, thanks to the President and the Congress this past year, is to think about doing a year or two of national or community service under the new national service legislation. What does that mean? It means that you will be working in a community in some important way. And not only will you be able to earn a modest wage, but you'll be able to earn about $5,000 for each of the years you work as a member of AmeriCorps, as it is now being called, which can be used to pay for your college education. I can't think of a better blending of service and of education than that. And I hope all of you will think very, very seriously of being members of AmeriCorps at some time, whether in the course of your college or after you graduate. In any event, let me simply urge you to think seriously about this. All of you have got to be involved. All of you have got to take part. All of you have got to make this democracy of ours and this country of ours the very best we can make them. And that's a responsibility that every single American has to take seriously, and especially those of you who will be leading this country in the 21st century. Congratulations on everything you've done. Congratulations on what is about to begin, and a very special word of congratulations to your parents and your families, who I know are very, very proud of you this evening. Thanks for having me. It's been great fun to be with you.
Governor, if you would join me at the podium, please. On behalf of the class of 1994, I would like to present you with the Chelmsford High School Honorary Diploma. This certifies that Michael S. Dukakis has been granted membership in the class of 1994 and is therefore entitled to this honorary diploma, and I want to thank you for your words and being here, Governor.
Thank you, Herb. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
We need to digress just a couple of minutes again. First, Governor, I'd like to introduce you to two people since you talked about service, and I didn't know you were going to do that. I'd like to introduce you to Kristen Grenhart and Eric Lindstedt, who will be spending a year with City Year in community service next year. Kristen and Eric, would you stand up, please? Where are you, folks? Kristen, stand up and stay. Eric, Governor, they'll be doing service next year. Thank you. We're going to digress from the programs for just a few moments. As most of you know, Dean Jack Conrad and Dean Angelo Taranto have announced that they will more than likely retire at the end of this school year. And when people spend 35 years loving and being compassionate to kids on behalf of an entire community, then people want to give something back when it's time for them to leave. And this is my turn. So tonight, I would like to introduce to you Chris Moser, who will make a presentation on behalf of the class of 1994, myself, and really the entire Chelmsford community, to Dean Angelo Taranto. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Right now, I'd like to ask Dean Taranto, please come to the stage and stand beside me. Thank you. 2 weeks ago, I went to a friend and told him I had good news and bad news. I asked him which he wanted to hear first. My friend said, give me the bad news first. I said, the bad news is, I don't know what to say. Looking confused, he said, well, give me the good news. I told him the good news was that I was asked to represent the students in the speech honoring Dean Taranto. The reason I didn't know what to say was simply that it is difficult to capture in words what Dean Taranto means to students. It is a large responsibility to represent all the students Dean Taranto has supported over his 35-year commitment to Chelmsford High School. I know that I speak for all students when I say Mr. Taranto is unique because he listens to us. If you have a problem, if you are seeking guidance, or if you simply need someone to talk to, Dean Toronto always listens to what you have to say. Mr. Toronto has been appreciated by hundreds of students because he understands our point of view and is willing to speak up for us. He makes certain we know the difference between right and wrong. He will correct us when we are wrong, and he will stand beside us when we have good things to say. One quality most appreciated by students is the fact that Dean Toronto participates in our activities and is a part of our lives at Chelmsford High School. You will see his face in the crowd of every sporting event and watch his dedication and participation in other school activities, dances, plays, special activities, and in the hallways every day of the year. When you add all these qualities up, what makes Dean Toronto stand out is that he gives you the feeling that he really cares for you. Dean Toronto wants the very best for his students. He works hard to help every student succeed, and he helps students build their confidence to be the very best they can be. On behalf of the class of 1994 and all classes that preceded us, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for your dedication, your time, your hard work, and your commitment. Most importantly, thank you, Mr. Toronto, for being our friend. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present you this plaque with hopes that you will always remember all of the students you have helped.
All I got to say is 40 years ago, I think, Jack Conrad and I were newcomers to Boston College. Whoever thought 35 years later we would also end our careers together. We've had a strong friendship, support. Our families have grown together, loved one another. And then our family expanded throughout the 35 years with all the students that we had to, or didn't have to, excuse me, that we shared and supported and grown to love in the past. And the most rewarding fact throughout all these years is that when you walk through the center of town or you're shopping and so forth, these students still remember and come up. And those are the things that you hold most. And then, of course, the friends that I have met throughout the 35 years, the members of the faculty and staff that we have worked together to develop the best school system in the state of Massachusetts, the best school system in the country. I can't tell you how proud I am of all the students, how proud I am of all the graduates here of 1994. All I said in one of my quotes, and I'll add a little bit, I haven't regretted one day. I know I've made friends, and you'll be with me for the rest of my life. Thank you.
That was a great speech, Chris. I would now like to introduce to you, from Whittier House, Melissa Fay. Melissa? Melissa's limping. She's been working on this injury and making us feel bad for her for a long time now.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. I would also like to call Mr. Conrad to come up here and stand with me. Thanks. Don't lose that. A few days before the start of my freshman year, I was walking the halls of Chelmsford High, trying to get a feel for the place, when you came up to me and asked my name and what house I was in. I was just a little freshman, so I immediately answered you. You then proceeded to lead me upstairs to your office and told me to sit down. I thought I was in trouble for being in the halls when I wasn't supposed to be, but then you got out your candy jar and extended your hand and said, "Hi, I'm Dean Conrad, and I'd like to welcome you to Chelmsford High School." That was my first experience with you, and I think it is with this warmth and understanding that you treat all the students of Chelmsford High School, and especially the students of Whittier House. We always see you standing out in the halls, giving us a smile, or just saying hi, or walking through the library, joking around with us, and causing trouble. Your friendliness makes us feel very comfortable with you. And because we see you so much, it is no big deal to go into your office if we have a problem, or even just to drop in and say hi, as I did quite often. You treat every one of us as an individual, and that makes us feel special. You really care about all of us, and you really show it. You have given us 4 memorable years that we will all treasure. It is obvious from your undying devotion to us that you love your job and you spread your happiness to everyone. My only regret is that my younger brother and the other younger students in the school system will not having the experience of knowing you as well as we do. They don't know what they are missing, and it is something wonderful. A few months ago, I had to make a speech in front of the Rotary Club. When I asked you what I should say, you jokingly told me to talk about how great you are. When I started my speech, I said that it wouldn't take me long to say nice things about you because there wasn't very much to say. But that was just one of the many jokes we have played on each other throughout the years. I could stand here and talk about you forever. You have meant a lot to me and to the students of Chelmsford High School, and in particular, the students of Whittier House. You are truly a wonderful person, and we will all miss you. On behalf of the class of '94 and the students of Whittier House, I'd like to present you with this plaque, which is a duplicate of our diploma to make you an honorary member of the class of '94.
Thank you. Thank you. This class of '94 is going to get it. They have showered me with gifts unbelievable. I cannot tell you. The best gift of all is a great graduation ceremony that they're going to give you. They're from Chelmsford High School. The luckiest thing I ever did was to have a father that was the principal of Chelmsford High School. The second luckiest thing I ever did was marry a wife, Carol, who has supported me for all the years that we've been together, and a family that has supported and been there all the time. 5 children who have graduated from Chelmsford High School and are really successful. And I tell you, folks, I got the best job in the world. I had it for 35 years, and I was with the best friend anyone could ever have, Angelo Toronto. We've been together through life, death, and everything else, believe me. We love one another. We love you. Chelmsford, you've got a great school system. You've got to support it in these times so that children like this, that you have that represent the class of 1994, that everyone can get the gifts that they get and get an education to go on to greater things. You can see the people here. I know a lot of you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have made me just a marvelous, marvelous man, and I have great friends. And I hope that you'll say hi as I walk the town. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are two of the finest people that ever have graced a school. Dean John Conrad, Dean Angelo Toronto. Thank you. That was a wonderful speech, Melissa. Good job. Now, to present our valedictorian, I would like to call to the stage Scott Hines, who will present to you our valedictorian, Jamie Steves. Scott and Jamie.
Thank you. Mr. Levine, Deans Toronto and Conrad, faculty, parents, fellow members of the class of 1994. What a long, strange trip it's been. Too often in our lives, we pass quick judgment on people based on their external appearance. Perhaps we think that someone's looks tell us who he is. Unfortunately, appearance does not always give an accurate picture of someone. A person's inner personality can only be understood by spending time with him. I have been fortunate enough to have spent the past 13 years getting to know James Steves. In that time, I have learned that there is much more to James than meets the eye. Behind his quiet exterior lies a wonderful friend with all the qualities that one could wish for. Besides being intelligent, funny, and creative, James is a compassionate, caring, sincere individual who has always put others before himself. Over the past 13 years, I have seen James grow from a shy, reserved person into the dancing inferno we saw at the senior banquet last night. It is with great pride and personal pleasure that I introduce to you my friend, the valedictorian of the class of 1994, James Russell Steves.
Thanks, Scott. His Excellency, the Governor, Superintendent Moser, School Committee Chair, Mr. Olson, Principal Levine, invited guests, parents, faculty, and fellow classmates of the Chelmsford High School class of 1994, it is my great honor and privilege to be addressing you as this year's valedictorian. I guess I'm known among this class as one who takes his studies very seriously, and I suppose that I have probably gone to an extreme in that regard. But I feel that behind my academic life and achievements at Chelmsford High School, there was a very powerful driving force: my friends. Those friends that I made here in Chelmsford, both peers and leaders, have inspired me, motivated me, comforted me, and effectively have driven me to this podium today. The simple fact is that one's social contact within a group of people, such as the Chelmsford High School class of 1994, is just as important as that person's contact to other areas, such as their studies. Correctly balancing one's time between work and play is the key to having a happy, successful life. I credit my good friend George Tebow for pointing this fact out to me last year. Those of you who know me well know that one of my favorite pastimes is the study and practice of Kempo karate, which I have devoted substantial time to over the past 8 years. Anyway, George has been my instructor for the past year and a half, and late last year he and I had a special talk. My senior year had just started, and I was having a rough time keeping up with my academics and extracurricular activities. I was finding it harder and harder to find time to spend at George's karate school, and I was considering discontinuing my martial arts hobby. I told this to George, and he didn't try to stop me from leaving. Instead, he reminded me to make sure that I didn't go too nuts over my work at school, because school is only one of many aspects of life, an important one, but nonetheless only one of many. He told me to make sure that I always set aside some time for play. So I didn't leave the karate school. I stayed, and I made it a point to correctly divide my time between work and play. To me, George is and will always be a true friend. I know that he wasn't trying to make me stay at his school just to receive a monthly check, but instead he showed care and concern for me with advice that I will use forever. Anyway, this balance between work and play varies from person to person. To me, I guess the scale is somewhat tipped towards the work end, whereas the opposite may be true for others. What is important is that each of us find whichever balance is right for ourselves. That is, the balance that gives us the most happiness and success, and then we must adhere to it. After all, the goal in life for everyone is, or should be, to be happy and successful. So now that I've established the importance of having friends in a social life, I shall state without reservation that my friends are, without question, those whom I will miss the most, and I'm sure that that statement holds true for virtually all the rest of you. I know it's true that most of us are presently saying to our good friends that we will keep in touch with them in the years to come. But the simple truth is that we won't. Ask any adult here how many of their high school friends that they are still in close contact with. On the average, the response will not be more than 2 or 3. The majority of us will not see each other again after this summer, except for the reunions. But instead of feeling depressed or sad about this, what we have to do is cherish the times that we had together. Keep your yearbook in an easily accessible place and look at it every now and again. Go to the reunions. Remember your high school friends and the great times you had together. Remember that they still remember you and that they still care for you as much as they always have. And so, here we are today, a date which marks the start of an immense transition for each of us. A new beginning is in store for us all as we come up to this stage and receive our diplomas. In coming years, we will all meet new friends. We will have many memorable experiences with them as we have had with each other. But don't forget the great times we had with each other in these years, for these are the days. And in remembering how important our friends have been to us, let us not forget the importance of friendship and look forward to those friends that we will make. I sincerely wish you all the absolute best in everything you do. Thank you all for your time and attention, and I shall especially extend my thanks to Principal Levine, a friend whom I have had for only 2 years, but who has nonetheless had a tremendous positive influence on my life. He paid me to say that. But in all seriousness, I'd like to do just one more thing before I step down from this stage, and that is to dedicate all the time, effort, devotion, and persistence that I have exercised over the past few years which made me this valedictorian, to two of the best guys that I have ever known, Mr. John Conrad and Mr. Angelo Toronto. I don't think I need to go into any more detail with that than to say that you guys are simply the best, because we all know how caring, supportive, and simply great that you have been for us all. All Chelmsford High School students will miss you greatly. Thank you all very much and have a great summer.
You going to Northeastern, Jamie?
Yes, I am.
What do you think you want to major? Chem engineering. Well, come on over and see me anyway.
I will.
Okay? Love to see you. Good job, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Great speech. Louise, great speech. It is now my pleasure to introduce an educator. And speaking of running for political office, most people who do often start at the school committee level. It is a very important, difficult job, much more complex than many of us realize. A friend of Chelmsford's educational system, the chair of the school committee, Mr. Carl Olson.
It is Mrs. Marks's pleasure and mine to be here today to give the school's committee's congratulations and best wishes to the class of 1994 on the completion of your education in the Chelmsford Public School System. Before we confer your diplomas, there's a couple of ideas I would like to share with you. The first is have a sense of vision, seeing who you can be and what you can accomplish. This is possible if you focus on the present and always the present. You are all you need to be right now. The past that we hang on to stands in our way. Many of us needlessly spend much of our lives fighting a poor self-image. But we can overcome that. We can choose to believe we are capable and competent. We can be spontaneous, and our visions of all that life can offer will change and excite us and will cultivate our confidence. Remember, each day is a new beginning. Each moment is a new opportunity to let go all that has trapped us in the past. We are free in the present. The other idea I'd like to share with you is have goals. Procrastination plagues us all at one time or another, but any goal that is worthy of our efforts should be tackled by bits and pieces. One step at a time. A book is written word by word. A house is built timber by timber. A college degree is obtained course by course. Our past need not determine what we set out to be today. We can't change overnight, but we can begin the process by having visions and goals. Enough days committed to the completion of enough small objects will bring the attainment of any goal, large or small. You can finish any goal you set your sights on when you take it one step at a time. I would like to quote Senator Edward Kennedy when he said the following at the funeral of his brother Robert. Some people see things and say why. He dreamed things and said, why not? In conclusion, my gift to the graduating class of 1994 is the hope that you keep your dreams alive through your visions and goals. And remember, you are all you need to be right now. Thank you and congratulations.
Okay, Cal, you're going to give out the diplomas from Linda and then Governor. If you would stand with the superintendent and myself, shake hands as the kids walk by. Linda, you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now present the candidates for diplomas for the class of 1994, Chelmsford High School, to the school committee chair, Mr. Carl Olson. We will now begin the diploma conferring.
Kathleen Rose Ahern. Elizabeth Ann Arsenault. Nancy Carolina Iapan. Inex Marie Baez. Gitanjali Baines. Danielle Margaret Bartholomew. Cindy Karen Belleville. Sherry Ann Boermeester. Tracy Lynn Boyd. Elizabeth Louise Cady. Gina Ann Carbone. Nicole Ellen Carlisle. Jessica Ashley Cavallaro. Amanda Dawn Chena. Melindy Margaret Schuler. Michelle Lynn Cole. Bridget Ann Connor.
Congratulations.
Claire Marie Curley. Anna Rubina DeCastro. Christine Roberta DeRoges. Karen Ann DiGiovanni. Petra Doyle. Jennifer Alice Durkin. Christina Egan. Melissa Cavalier Flynn. Michelle Lynn Galpin. Alicia Dawn Goldman. Lisa Ann Gordon. Kelly Vanessa Gouldson.
Good luck, Lisa.
Thank you.
Say hello to Governor Dukakis, Lisa.
Cynthia Lynn Greeley.
Good luck.
Dawn Marie Hibbard. Elizabeth Ann Holloman. Melissa Gail Iacono. Denise Elizabeth Jarvis.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Donata Marie Jerome.
Good luck.
Margarita Kalajarakis. Konstantina Karanastastis.
Margarita.
Stacy Kylie Keene. Tara Beth Kennedy. Theodora Kusinatis. Kobe Beth Kozlowski.
Please come back.
Elizabeth Lee Lake. Jacqueline Ann Larson. Cindy Allison Lawton.
Good luck.
Deborah Mary Liakis.
Gonna miss you.
Kerry Brenda MacDonald.
Got a great Greek organization.
Heather Ann Mayen. Valerie Rose Mancuso. Melissa Ann McEwen.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Carolyn Frances McManus. Kathleen Elizabeth McSheehy. Cheryl Ann Michelson. Stephanie Adina Moore. Ruta Ravindra Nene.
Thank you.
Erin Hillary O'Donoghue.
Gonna miss you, honey.
Allison Odell.
Good luck.
Bryn Michelle Oliver.
Good luck.
Jennifer Ann Oliver. Sonali Bipin Parek. Dawn Teresa Pelletier.
Gonna miss you.
Demetra Elizabeth Fair.
Good luck.
Katie Michelle Powers. Patricia Eileen Priola. Stephanie Marie Quinn. Lindsay Davis Robinson.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Amy Lynn Rowe. Christina Marie Sanford. Jamie Rita Sarkeesian.
Good luck, sweetheart.
Shama Kishore Shah.
Good luck.
Karen Ann Smelstore.
Do well.
Jessica Ann Stallings. Pamela Lynn Stavely.
Thank you very much.
Soheep Tan.
Good luck, Tammy.
Allison Elizabeth Taylor.
Come back and see us.
Catherine Elizabeth Taylor.
Good luck.
Joanna Nicolette Theriault.
Good luck.
Melissa Ann Turner.
Good luck, honey.
Amy Marie Urbowitz.
Good luck. Congratulations. Where you headed next?
Rebecca Ann Weir.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Sharon Patricia West. Colleen Marie Wharton.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Charlene Marie Worcester.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Deborah Wu.
Gonna miss you.
Lauren Elizabeth Young.
Good luck. Congratulations. So you're going to Brown? No, sweetheart.
Stephen John Anderson. William Martin Bacon.
Congratulations. Good luck. Congratulations.
Michael Curtis Baptista.
Do well.
Paul Thomas Barton.
Good job. Good luck.
Michael Stephen Battle.
Congratulations, buddy. Good luck.
Mark Christopher Bertulli.
Gonna miss you, Michael. Congratulations.
Jason Alexander Bissett.
Good job. Good luck.
Kyle Jonathan Blackburn.
Good job. Good luck.
Andrew Joseph Booth.
Good job. Good luck.
Anthony Ramon Brown. Paul Brent Butler II.
Gonna miss you, pal.
Marcus Carlson.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Scott Aaron Chalmers.
Good luck. Good job.
Man Ching Chung.
Scott, good luck, buddy. Okay.
James Oliver Cho.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Martin John Conlon.
Good luck. Thank you.
Brent Tucker Conway.
Good luck, man.
Michael Edward Cook. Olav Eric Dahlback.
Michael, good luck. You did a great job.
Matthew James DeReamer. Dana Arthur DeRoches. Brian Robert Doak. William Elliott Douglas.
Good luck. Do well.
Daniel Vincent Dronsico.
Good luck. Nice job.
Matthew Edward Duff.
Good luck. Great job.
Thomas Durkin.
Boy, Matthew. Good job. Yep. Good luck.
Andrew Carl Erickson.
Good luck. Thank you.
Chad Michael Fay.
Nice job. Good luck.
Andrew Emil Ferrante. Joshua David Feuerstein. David Allen Floyd.
Good luck.
Scott Daniel Folger.
Good luck. Yes, thank you. Good job.
Ray Allen Freitas.
Nice job.
Jason Noah Fredette.
Boy,
Gerald Thomas Garvey.
good luck. Nice job. Yeah.
Michael Patrick Gavin.
Good luck, pal.
Takfor Janetchian.
Good luck.
Thomas Scott Gibson. Matthew Scott Giusti. Kirk Robert Gray.
Good luck.
Andrew Jason Griffin.
Good luck, buddy.
Gary Andrew Hannigan.
Got a boy.
Scott Douglas Hines.
Hey, buddy.
Matthew Kevin Higgins. John Edward Holmes Jr. Joel Andrew David Casey.
Good luck, buddy.
Thomas Leo Keegan III.
Good luck. Yep.
Dean Joseph Kelly.
Good job.
Michael Joseph Cohane.
Good job. Good luck.
Krzysztof Kuchek.
Good luck. Good job. Do well.
Kwantai Lee.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
James Kevin Levesque.
Good job. All right.
Mark Vincent Lonergan. Christopher Raymond Laranger.
Good job. Great job. Good luck.
Michael William Maloney.
My boy. Good job. Yeah.
Andrew F. Martin. John Gregory Martin Jr.
Good job. Do well.
Stephen Michael MacArthur. Brian Michael McHale.
Do well.
Jason Patrick Masidi.
Good luck to you. Be well.
Rashir Dan Reyes Miranda.
Good luck, buddy.
James C. Morgan.
Okay, buddy.
Michael Edward Moriarty.
You're great. Come back and see me, all right? Good job. Congratulations.
Christopher Richard Moser.
Good job. Congratulations. Yeah.
Ryan Vincent Murphy. Adam Bradford Needles.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. Huh? All right, buddy. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Dustin Oliver Neild. Matthew David Austin.
See you at the United Nations or wherever.
Joseph William Paolilli III. Robert Paradis. Donald John Pascucci.
Do well. Hey, buddy.
Thomas David Rawls.
Good job.
Thomas Alec Reynolds. John Michael Rood Jr. Paul John Ragazio Jr. Andrew Mark Rubenstein. Charles Augustin Schramm III.
Good job. Yeah.
Mark Anthony Scipione. John Stephen Sheehy. Kevin Michael Shine. Brian Sinowski.
Good job.
Sean Peter Spalding.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Matthew Hart Stanton. Eric Michael Stevenson.
All right, buddy. Maddie.
Ryan E. Sullivan.
Come back and see me, all right?
Jamie Paul Super.
Take care.
Richard William Trainer. Adam Stewart Tremonti.
Good job.
Jeffrey Scott Troughton. Jeffrey Robert Trudell.
Sure, I'm going to bump into you at some point.
Edward Charles Urban. Mark Andrew Udanovich. Eric Timothy Woisen.
Good luck to you. Stay healthy. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, they are getting big, aren't they?
Yeah. Shift is
I'm
on.
telling you, there must be a 6-inch growth factor in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
I even noticed it between terms as governor.
Really?
You know, the sports teams.
Whatever. Stand right next to Cal. Yeah. Right next to Cal. Must be the water, you know?
Huh?
Must be the water.
Water or something. Is it lifting?
Every year they get bigger, Governor. Every
God,
year.
it's unbelievable.
And broader.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
more
no,
filled out.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't lift weights when we were kids.
These kids do a lot of lifting.
They do a lot of lifting.
Yeah.
Michelle Lee Anderson. Caroline Bader. Tracy Lee Burling. Nicole Danielle Betts. Joanna Maria Boloski.
Congratulations. Where are you headed from here?
Jennifer Laurie Block.
Great school. I was down there for a couple of days this past spring. Great school, yeah.
Leanne Marie Buford. Cynthia Jean Buttrick.
Good luck.
Charlotte Ann Capagna.
Where are you headed next year? UVM. It's a good school.
Sandra Marcella Carrasco.
Where are you going next year?
Louise Chen. Laura Ellen Canova. Rachel Susan Costello.
You gotta say hello at least. There you go.
I've got a Brown grad.
Chantel Teresa Degnall.
Good luck.
Cora Eileen Danielson.
Congratulations. Well done.
Danielle Sandra Day.
Good luck. Well done.
Jessica Elena Deshane.
Where are you going to school next year?
Suzanne Marie Defacé.
Good luck.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Jessica Ann Downing.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Congratulations.
Monique Colette Dumont.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Congratulations.
Jessica Ann Dwinell.
Congratulations.
Kristen Lee Eldridge.
Where, Emerson?
Good luck, sweetie.
Holly Melissa Eng.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Melissa Fay.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Well done. Terrific. Back and see you. Good luck. Congratulations.
Catherine Rita Feeney.
Hey, nice speech. You did a great job.
Andrea Jean Fraser.
Think about it. Think about it. You did a great job. Hi there.
Robin Michelle Frawley.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Amy Marie Geddes.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Colleen Ann Gleason.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Jill Christine Golubiski.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Kristen Maureen Grenham.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Congratulations.
Inderpreet Kaur Grover.
Congratulations.
Where are you going next year?
Rebecca Noel Harris.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Do you know where you're going?
Jody Ellen Hinckley.
I'll tell you, it's a great program. I got 3 of my best kids in it.
Good luck.
Allison Maria Jones.
Congratulations. It's
Congratulations.
interesting here.
Good
These
luck.
kids are doing
Kristen Marie Kidder.
great. Yeah. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Hi there.
Julie Barbara King.
Hiya. Great school. Good school.
Congratulations.
Susan Mary Kramer.
Come see me. Terrific.
Dawn Hook-Win Lee.
Not too far from the communications building. Come on over. Hi there. What's up?
Jennifer Lynn Liss.
Hiya. Good school.
Congratulations.
Shannon Lee Merrill.
Where are you going?
Amy Jane Milanazzo.
Right there. Congratulations.
Lauren Nadine Moretsky. Lisa Ann Morlock.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Welch Neild.
Congratulations.
Katrina Often.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Right there.
Jennifer Elizabeth Allington.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Megan Ann Pager.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Camille Lisa Patterson. Lynn Dorothy Penuel. Stacy Lee Pitchman. Cheryl Ann Prue. Karen Elizabeth Rafferty. Karen Dreamer Reddy. Jennifer Jean Rogan. Kristen Ann Rowe.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Congratulations. Well done.
Kelly Suzanne Russell.
Nice job up there. You may have a future in politics. Think about it.
Lindsay St. Onge.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Laurie Ann Sandler.
Congratulations.
Kerry Lynn Saunier. Kerry Ann Shope.
Right there. What's ahead for next year?
Congratulations.
Dwan Marie Scott.
Congratulations.
Anita B. Sebastian.
Congratulations.
Stacy Jean Shepard.
Headed next year. What are you going to do? Where, Howard? Great. Terrific.
Tammy Lee Souza. Christine Marie Souza.
Where are you headed for next year?
Congratulations, sweetie.
Catherine Lynn Sullivan.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Beth Ann Sutcliffe.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Linda Sandy Tanini.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Malvika Tiku.
Congratulations.
Get my father-in-law.
Megan Elizabeth Toohey.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Lisa Michelle Trahan.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Nicole Maria Chiklis.
Congratulations, sweetie.
So what's up for next year?
Stacy Lynn Herbowitz.
Great school.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Nicole Vigent.
Congratulations.
Tonra Lee Walsh.
Congratulations, sweetie.
Congratulations.
Joanna Shea Wheeler.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Deborah Ann Wood.
Congratulations.
Jean Yu.
Congratulations, sweetie. Good luck.
So what's up for next year? Really?
Lee Aaron Ablov. Donald Harold Annis.
Congratulations. Good luck.
So where you headed?
Christopher Paul Avery.
What are you going to major in?
Marketing right now.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Joseph Alberson Balin.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
Jason Thomas Barrett.
Hey, Joe.
Aaron Michael Bates.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Where you headed?
Michael Eric Batson.
Really? Are you? Good.
Theodore Christopher Bearer IV. Samuel Thomas Bobian.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Kirk Gary Bishop.
Thank you.
Christopher Jared Blagg.
Congratulations.
Well done. Thanks.
Douglas C. Boyajian.
Congratulations. Good luck to you.
David Michael Burke.
Congratulations.
James Thomas Chamberlain.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Sita Johning Chan.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations. What's up?
Gregory Paul Clark.
Congratulations.
Jamie. Congratulations. What are you going to be doing next year?
Todd Michael Cobry.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Christopher Alexander Demas.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dero Dim. Brian Wayne Dion.
Where are you headed next year?
Congratulations.
Stephen John Duell. David Pasendong. Ernest Paul Druin. Philip Lawrence Eckelkamp. David Francis Flynn.
What's ahead?
Frank Thomas Flynn.
He'll be right up the street from me.
Daniel Joseph Forcier. Michael Patrick Guerin. Richard Thomas Ginsburg. Douglas Wheeler Gray.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
John Joseph Guinieri. Paul Christopher Hart.
So what's up for next year? Where?
Gary Lee Helen. John Philip Hiltz IV.
What's ahead for next year?
Joseph Mark Incatasiato.
Hi, what's up for next year?
Jeremy Gordon Jocelyn.
Congratulations. What you got up there?
Edward Anthony Kalpas. Nicholas Gilman Kane. Gregory John Kay. Daniel Philip Keller. Jared Augustin Kelly. Dennis James Cohane. Jonathan Allen Koreski.
What are you going to be doing next year?
Michael John Laffin. Philip Lee Landsteiner. Terry J. Levine.
Congratulations. Good luck. Well done.
Brian Lewis Lawrence.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Vu Nguyen Lee. Simoon Lee. Robin Scott Lennox. Eric Allen Lindstead. Jeffrey Charles Lurvy. Michael David Marr. Michael Nathan Marchand. Gregory Carl Marks.
Good to see you. Congratulations. What's up for next year?
Gregory Marks. William Joseph McCarthy II.
Everything you're saying. I just turned it.
Tim James McAvoy. Gregory Charles McKenna. Timothy Michael McMaster. John David McMillan. Matthew Harold Medeiros. Mark Allen Miller. John Robert Muir. John Aloysius Myers IV. Matthew Charles Notini. Yushi Wee. Keith Russell O'Neill. John Andrew Overton. Wade Kenneth Paquin. Noah Benjamin Parek. Matthew Emerson Quigley. Colin Patrick Richards. Jason Clay Rose. Tae-Sung Roo. Michael Patrick Sablone. Jeffrey Anthony Saviano. Kevin Eugene Scanlon. Joseph Thomas Shumbata. James Russell Steves. Greg Michael Stewart. Michael Charles Sullivan. Ian Andrew Sutherland. Robert Dennis Therian. Michael Thomas Tramontano. Jason Arthur Trudeau. Richard William White. John Joseph Hooley Jr. Sean Francis Wright. And the president of the class of 1994, Michael Stephen Kasparian.
Well, we're here. All right. You all may turn your tassels now. Of course, I don't know where mine is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the graduated class of 1994.
Folks, would you please keep it clear so that the recessional can take place smoothly? At this time, we will be recessing out of the stadium. Thank you. And congratulations to the class of 1994 and all parents. Great job.